Every year on Founders Day, we come together to recognize those who have served at Mount Mary and died in the past year. The 4 who have come to our attention this year are all school sisters of Notre Dame. And together, they represent 107 years of service at Mount Mary. We thank them and honor them now.
Sister Regine Collins. In 1967, Sister Regine Collins began her full-time tenure at Mount Mary, where she taught art for 14 years. In 1981, she began a new ministry in the central city of Milwaukee, first at St. Leo Parish, and then as executive director of Milwaukee Spectrum, a new high school for troubled girls. Her talents were extensive. Wood carvings were her trademark, and her last piece is the one of Mother Teresa of Jesus Gerhardinger, displayed in our cyber cafe on campus. Her master's thesis from the University of Notre Dame was a 5-foot wood carving of Mary with the child Jesus standing next to her. It was inspired by Mary's words to one of the women from whom SSND takes its inspiration. When Mary appeared, she said, "Take this child and make her grow." This beautiful statue will be moving to Trinity Woods and housed near the Child Care Center. Sister Regine was commissioned to do carvings for the cathedral in Baltimore, as well as for St. James in Franklin, Wisconsin. She went into the arms of her loving God just weeks before her 96th birthday. Her legacy lives on through the beauty she has created.
Sister Francile Sherburne. Sister Francile taught English and linguistics at Mount Mary from 1954 to 1989. She was a gifted writer and served for 12 years as the moderator of the student magazine, then called The Quarterly. She was also the editor of an SSND magazine, The School Sister. She admitted that during her 34 years at Mount Mary, she changed from being overly critical of students' papers to softening a bit as she got to know the students. One way this happened was by making the dorm rounds each night, checking to see that each student was at her desk studying. In those early years, sisters went to each room and sprinkled the students with holy water. For blessing, yes, but also to make sure they were all accounted for. As Sister Francile made her rounds, she would inevitably wind up chatting with them in the doorway. Her desire to serve extended to collaboration with Easter Seals on a summer project. She wanted to expose men and women with developmental and physical challenges to Wisconsin writers through lectures and visiting writers' locales. Easter Seals provided participants and funding, and the school sisters acted as companions. Sister Francile was moved by the valor of the participants, who were clearly excited and grateful to be treated as intellectual adults. Sister Francile experienced her own physical and mental challenges moving to our SSND memory care facility in 2015. She died at age 99. After a lifetime of expanding her gifts in compassion, in love, and in the joy of living.
Sister Michael Marie Laux. For 13 years, beginning in the Academic Resource Center, then finishing in the Student Success Center, Sister Michael faithfully served as a writing tutor and English as a second language tutor, and in the lead in our CAP program, which is the College Achievement Program. One of our colleagues wrote, in the CAP class, she helped students not only with their studies, but also with figuring out who they were as individuals, pursuing their own passions and gifts. This meant she spent significant amounts of time carefully listening and questioning. She would take notes on their meetings and spend extra time outside of that, searching for just the right thing to bring back to the next time that they met. She had an amazing talent to be tender yet firm, quiet but with authority, and present but never intrusive. Students grew very close to her, and they often said she was the best part of the class. She held an extra special place in her heart for our international students. She was very interested in learning what was happening in the Pacific Islands and other countries of Africa and many other places around our world. Her gifts as an educator were honed over a lifetime of teaching and companioning in various cultures. Sister Michael Marie was a missionary in Guam for 11 years, in Alaska for 8 years, and in Kenya for 16 years before ending her 60-year teaching ministry at Mount Mary University in December of 2018. Thank you, Sister Michael. Sorry. Thank you for providing such a wonderful atmosphere and serving so many students.
Sister Ellen Lorenz. In 1953, Sister Ellen Lorenz began her Mount Mary journey as a student with a major in English. After 2 years at the college, she entered the community of the School Sisters of Notre Dame and completed her degree while she was in formation to be a sister. She taught high school English for a time, but by 1968, she returned to Mount Mary, having earned her doctorate in education and joined the faculty of the education department. In 1972, Sister Ellen proposed a new core curriculum based on the search for meaning, which was unanimously accepted. This framework continues to be the basis of undergraduate studies today. In 1975, she was appointed Assistant Academic Dean and became the Academic Dean a year later. In her nomination for Professor Emerita, a colleague wrote, quote, "Her leadership on curricular issues was never due to any appointed position she held, but to the gentle force of her intelligence." Another colleague commented that, quote, "This is the most apt description of her I have heard. Her gentle force is a powerful and persuasive, and yet in a very caring and non-judgmental way." 3 years after becoming dean, Sister Ellen became the 6th president of Mount Mary, a position she held until 1987. During these critical years of change, she and her team addressed the diverse needs of a growing campus community and established the Evans Center to meet the physical, spiritual, cultural, and professional needs of adult women. Along with the presidents of Alverno and Cardinal Stritch, she initiated Milwaukee Achiever Literacy Services and moved Mount Mary to graduate-level accreditation status with the Higher Learning Commission, then called North Central. After her term as president, Sister Ellen returned to the education department. Blessed Teresa Gerhardinger once said, quote, "A well-educated teacher can more easily accept persons where they are and help them than one who is inadequately educated. Goodwill does not supply for lack of competence." Sister Ellen was dedicated to inspiring well-educated, competent teachers. Her students and colleagues describe her as brilliant and wise, kind and gracious, patient and humble, a master educator, an excellent role model, an outstanding mentor. Over the years, Sister Ellen was at the forefront of developments in the education department, including the adoption of teacher performance standards, accreditation protocols, digital portfolios, and online courses. She taught in the department until 2013, when she transitioned to tutoring in our Student Success Center. Retired in 2015, she remained vitally interested in all matters Mount Mary and delivered a presentation to the Board of Trustees as recently as November 20th, 2020. By her example, Sister Ellen called everyone around her to be better versions of themselves. A memory written about Sister Dominic, one of Mount Mary's early administrators, easily could be applied to Sister Ellen. Quote, "She consistently rated people higher than they deserved, and there was nothing to do but attempt to achieve what she thought they already had. You became, or tried to become, what she thought you were." Her deep commitment to education and to Mount Mary embodies the words of You Are Sent. Quote, We educate with the conviction that the world can be changed through the transformations of persons. So many have been transformed simply by knowing her. We are so very grateful for all the ways that Sister Ellen gave of herself for over 46 years at Mount Mary.
Thank you for those reflections on sisters who have gone before us. Their legacy lives on this campus. This really is holy ground, the home of the Potawatomi and Menominee, who hunted and fished the plentiful resources of this area. The farmland where cultivators and planters harvested the riches of the soil. And this beloved campus, where educators and students continue to create the community which is Mount Mary. We gather now in remembrance, in gratitude, and in trust that the respect and love and care that have been poured out on this holy ground may help to sustain us into the future.
May we share in a love that transforms.
Blessed Teresa of Jesus Gerhardinger once wrote, "As reason reckons, love loves." Love gives everything, everything, again and again, daily. The current directional statement of the School Sisters of Notre Dame is titled, "Love Gives Everything." And justice is what love looks like. The SSND Shalom International document states, urged by the love of Christ and of our sisters and brothers, we work actively toward enhancing just structures that foster fullness of life and toward changing unjust structures that inhibit it.
May we share in a love that transforms.
This is the legacy of the School Sisters of Notre Dame, who pledge to pray, speak out, educate, advocate, and take decisive actions in collaboration with others to establish justice. This reflects God's abundant love and desire that all may have life. May the tragic deaths of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and all who have died from the violence of injustice energize our collective resolve to collaborate with others in dismantling injustice locally and in our campus.
May we share in a love that transforms.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. I can never be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be." This is the interrelated structure of reality. Until we truly embrace the belief that we are all united, we will not have justice. We will not have true peace. Central to our mission as the School Sisters of Notre Dame, we direct our entire life towards that oneness for which Jesus Christ was sent. Together we proclaim,
The triune God impels us into the heart of the world to be women of peace, hope, and love. With your grace, loving God, may it be so. May we share in a love that transforms.